All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really dive into my favorite draft pick that the Jets made this offseason. I do this every year, right? Favorite free agent signing, favorite draft pick. I always look forward to these two videos. I always try to do them in the summer. But with that said, let's dive into it. So I think from top to bottom, this draft, we really... the Jets really covered a lot of bases, right? They attacked positions of need. Arbon Membu, we obviously needed a right tackle big time. We needed a tight end in round 2, Mason Taylor. In fact, I remember seeing mock drafts that literally had Membu at 7, and then, of course, Mason Taylor in the 2nd round. Like, it's kind of funny how that worked out. Like, a lot of people assumed, a lot of people linked Membu to the Jets, a lot of people linked Taylor to the Jets, and that's exactly how it played out. But round 3 rolls around, and that just feels like BPA, right? Azareye'h Thomas, I mean, there were, actually multiple mock drafts that had Thomas going in round 1. Right, Daniel Jeremiah had him going round 1 to the Baltimore Ravens. It wasn't really until that slower 40 time really knocked Thomas's draft stock. But even with that said, I still viewed him as a 2nd round guy. So yeah, we don't necessarily need a starting outside corner with Brandon Stevens being brought in, Michael Carter in the slot, and then of course Gardner on the outside. Where does Thomas really, fit into this whole thing? I think he's probably going to be that starting cornerback of the future, unless he beats Brandon Stevens out, because we already know Carter and Gardner are going to do their thing. But Thomas, man, lots and lots of potential. Someone who I'm really excited about. Someone who also I felt like needed to be in a system that played a lot of man coverage, and all indications are pointing to this Jets defense playing a lot of man coverage, basing it off of the Detroit Lions style of defense. So then we get to round 4, and this is the prospect that I think, man, like, it really fires me up. It's Malachi Moore, safety from Alabama, former first-team All-SEC, someone who's been described as an incredible leader in the locker room, someone who's versatile. He's played free safety, he's played strong safety, he's played slot corner. You can kind of tell that he takes pride in being able to be that movable chess piece in the back end of the defense. I mean, that skill, like in today's day and age, especially on the Jets, where we take a look back at last season, major struggles at the safety position in numerous areas, right? Coming up in tackling an open field, safeties flying downhill, routes being taken to the football, not really that many takeaways, all things considered. We're going to need someone who can do a couple of different things, someone who can fill that primary strong safety position. Now, I'm not saying that Malachi Moore is going to 100% start and be the best, safety on the team, like right out of the gate or anything like that. I do feel like there might be a bit of a learning curve here, but again, when I'm taking a look at Malachi Moore, the boxes that he checks, the attributes, the positives that he's bringing to this Jets team, man, there's a lot of them. Again, we can talk about the production in the SEC at Alabama. I mean, last season, for instance, 12 games, he had 70 tackles, 40 of them solo, 2 picks, 8 passes defended against, 2 forced fumbles, 3 tackles for loss. You could talk about the body type, 6 foot, 185 pounds, standard. Athleticism, it's definitely not top tier, it's definitely not elite, but it's not bad either. It's just kind of middle of the road, nothing to really write home about there, but it's good enough to play in the NFL. It's good enough to contribute for an NFL team. One thing that really gets me excited about Malachi Moore, again, kind of going back to the leadership, I mean, the Jets just seemed like they were devoid of it last year. 2-time captain at Alabama, played in, again, multiple roles, never really battled back with the coaching staff. Oh no, I'm this position. Just, he seems like a really humble dude. You're listening to him in press conferences and whatnot. Just someone you want in your locker room. And then we start diving a little bit deeper into Moore as a prospect, right? What he does on the field. Stats are one thing, but his ball skills are really impressive. The ability to track the football. I felt like Moore as an open field tackler really did a lot of good things back at the collegiate level. You can talk about defensive IQ, ability to recognize what's happening in front of him. Pretty technically clean prospect as well. You can tell that Aaron Glenn, a former DB, someone who's worked really well with not only just developing corners, but also safeties, whether it's, Kirby Joseph, one of the league's best. Past couple years with Detroit. Brian Branch, again, just, what a safety tandem that they had over in Detroit. But it goes even further if we want to take a look at, the numerous safeties that he's worked with, numerous DBs that he's worked with in New Orleans. We could talk about Steve Wilks as well, his background. Of course, he's a defensive guy, but his kind of path to where he is today came up as a DB coach. So I don't think it's a coincidence that a player like this with the IQ, with the technical polish, is being selected to a team that is being coached primarily by two guys that have excellent insight in developing defensive backs. And speaking of Brian Branch, Aaron Glenn actually talked about, he shared this with the media, he talked about Malachi Moore to Brian Branch, right? There were conversations there, and Branch essentially gave the green light or the seal of approval, if you will, like, hey, Malachi Moore's legit. You got to be on the lookout for this dude. And they did, similar things back at the collegiate level, right? Because if you think about Brian Branch, right, free safety, strong safety, slot corner, it's interesting, right? It's definitely interesting. And Brian Branch was someone who, man, he was a fantastic safety. And similar to like Azari Thomas, once the offseason hit and the pre-draft process was in full swing, for whatever reason, you just saw his draft stock start to decline. And he ended up going in the second round. I remember, like, during the season, there were mock drafts with the Jets, with Branch going top 15. Lo and behold, he ends up being a second-round pick. But in any case, Malachi Moore, for a team that really needs help at the safety position, specifically strong safety, because I think Cisco's going to hold it down at free safety. I think whenever we're in a position where we can talk about that many positives, again, the production in the SEC, the leadership, the positional versatility, him being handpicked by a former defensive back and someone who's developed DBs at a pretty high level. And for what it's worth, Malachi Moore actually was a pretty solid contributor on special teams for Alabama. So we're getting a player like this, all these positives in round 4. Right, Mason Taylor's one thing. Yeah, we desperately needed help at the tight end position. Great, we got him, signed, sealed, delivered round 2. Armand Membu round 1. BPA round 3 is Azari Thomas. A couple of more defensive players, Mawaga later on. But we're getting a player like this in round 4, which again I think for me is really, really good value. So I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a top 15 safety or one or anything like that, but as far as a developmental piece at a position of need, man, this guy's bringing a lot to the table. And you got to think that there is a plan in place for someone like Malachi Moore. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who is your favorite draft pick made by the Jets? And just, let's just include everybody too, right? If that guy for you was an undrafted free agent, Donovan Edwards from Michigan, Brady Cook, quarterback from Michigan, like there were a lot of interesting guys that the Jets added to the undrafted free agent pool. So, if it's someone in there, definitely feel free to list them down below in the description box, and also why too. I think this is really, really interesting conversation. I try to have it with my buddies. Texting and everything like that too. So, really excited to hear your thoughts. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.